This tutorial will be to help you to solve literal rational equations. Solve means to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. Like if we solve for x, we get x all by itself on the other side. A literal equation is an equation with just variables, like y equals mx plus b, and lots of formulas you've seen before. And rational equations are equations with fractions, where if we solve for x, we get it like this. Well, let's solve it back for y. Let's see what that looks like. Well, first rule of thumb, get rid of fractions first if you can. We're going to do that with multiplication. M is on the bottom, so we're going to multiply both sides by m. M times the x, and the m is going to cancel out on the right side. So we get mx equals y minus b. And again, to solve for y, we're going to need to move that b, so we add b to both sides. And we get mx plus b equals y, but we're used to seeing it as y equals mx plus b. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. We have ax plus bx equals 1. And another rule of thumb, if the variable you're solving for is in more than one term, then factor it out. We have x in this term and that term. We're going to factor it out and make it look like this. Once we have that, all we have to do now to get x all by itself is to divide both sides by what's in parentheses, the a plus b. So now our final answer is going to be x equals 1 over a plus b. We're going to be using that little skill a lot in this lesson. Let's try again. We want to get the x plus y out from there. If the variable you're solving for is in the numerator and the denominator, find a way to remove it from the denominator. Again, we're getting rid of fractions with multiplication. Just multiply both sides by x plus y. That will eliminate it on the right side. And on the left side, we'll have b times x plus y. Well, let's go ahead and distribute that b. And now it's going to look like this. Now here's the tough part. We have to get the x's together on one side, all by themselves. So we're going to move the by to the other side by subtracting it. And we're going to get the x on the left side by subtracting it. Let's see what that looks like. We have the bx minus the x, not like terms, you can't combine them. And we have 1 minus the by on the right side. Now remember, if the variable you're solving for is in more than one term, let's go ahead and factor it out. Again, let's go ahead and kick it over there. And remember, that there's an imaginary 1 next to the x. So x times b was bx, and x times the 1 was x. Now let's go ahead and divide that out. Divide out the b minus 1. And that's our final answer. Let's try another one like that. Let's go ahead and solve for r in this equation. Again, we need to get rid of that denominator using multiplication. Multiply both sides by the 1 minus r. That's going to eliminate on the right side. On the left side, let's go ahead and distribute. S times 1 is s. S times r is sr. Now we need to get those r's together. We're going to move that sr first. Let's go ahead and add that to both sides. Add the sr, and we're going to get that on the bottom there. Now we need to move that a. Subtract the a from both sides. Now the only terms we have on the right are the r terms. Again, we're getting used to this. We factor out the r. So we have just r all by itself, r times s minus l. And last but not least, we're going to divide both sides by the s minus l, just like we did before. And here's our final answer. Okay, let's try one more. This one's going to be fairly difficult, but it's going to be the exact same steps we used before. You won't see a problem like this very often in Algebra 1, but you would see it in something like physics. Again, we're going to go ahead and solve for a variable. Let's pick d and get rid of fractions first. We want to get rid of that 2. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. All the terms are going to get multiplied by 2. And look, we're going to have 2 over 2. That eliminates. You get 1. So everything has 2. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, remember you can always get rid of fractions by multiplying by the denominator. Again, we're trying to get these d terms all by themselves, so we need to kick that 2p to the other side. Let's go ahead and subtract that term, minus 2p on both sides. And that's what we have now. Again, we want to factor out d from both of those terms. Just kick them over there. So we're just going to have d on the outside. And our last step is going to be to divide out what's in the parentheses. Divide out the 2gy plus v squared. Divide out the 2gy plus v squared. And fix my writing. And that's our final answer. So remember, try to get rid of fractions first when you're solving. And if you have the same variable in 2 different terms, divide that one out. Just factor it out. So these difficult problems don't have to be so tough. Good luck.